Huh. I had made a conscious decision I wasn't getting a fidget spinner. I ended up with that one after my cousin bought it for me because I kept goofing around with the one her son had. And of course, I get one well after the fad had faded. The fidget spinner fad made me wonder about fads in general. And I kind of remember a few from my own childhood. Rubik's Cubes, laser tag, California raisin figurines, slap bands, Pogs, Tamagotchi, and Furby. I'm pretty sure there are some that I've forgotten. Some things become part of our culture. Others fade within months and are just short-lived crazes. Fads. And fads have been pretty hard to predict. There were people who said the internet was a fad, but segways were going to change the way we play in cities. I thought Pokemon was just a fad. Sorry, I just wasn't the right age for that one. 3D movies and VR were both fads at one point. They seem to be doing better the second time around. The new technology is definitely helping. There have been some debate on whether or not fads are created by social media. YouTube is one that gets mentioned a lot. Social media is subject to their own fads. Like here on YouTube there was the Cinema Challenge, Ice Bucket Challenge, Red Hot Knife vs. Random Object. Twitter, there was metaphorically shooting yourself in the foot, and Facebook had the fad of career suicide by status update. I don't think social media creates fads. I've thought about what makes something a fad, and I've come up with a recipe. 3 basic ingredients: novelty, access, and bandwagonism. Novelty is a must. Without it, the fad doesn't even get started. The subject of the fad needs to have a draw of its own. Is it interesting? Is it exciting? Is it fun? Or is it comparable to being poked in the eye with the blunt end of a pencil? If there's no appeal, then the rest of the ingredients don't matter. Next, and almost as essential, is access. The availability of the item. How accessible it is affects how quickly and how far the fad spreads. The spinner costs $2 at a local hardware store. That's cheap enough for a kid to buy it themselves or talk a parent into buying it. That's really accessible. That means that there is a large number of early adopters. That means it's highly visible in the wild. It also increases the chance of the subject getting into the hands of trendsetters. The ease of accessibility means a larger second and third wave adopters. The last is bandwagonism, and it compounds on itself. This is where trendsetters take effect. They drastically increase the visibility of the fad's subject, accelerating the adoption rate of the fad. The reason I call the third ingredient bandwagonism and not trendsetters is because bandwagoning is a broader effect at play. Trendsetters are just one medium for bandwagoning to spread by. The bandwagon effect starts simply because it looks like a lot of people are following a fad. So more people take part in that fad. And the craze just seems to spread and spread. The faster it spreads also means it ends quicker. At a certain point, the novelty starts to wear off. And it wears off for a large swath of people pretty much at the same time. And this can also start a backlash. This recipe is just the basic ingredients and it's been simplified. There are a few other factors that make a fad, like the lack of practicality. Segways will never be as practical as cars. The internet proved to be practical by speeding up the way we communicate, do business, and even created business opportunities for people that wouldn't otherwise have them. Pokemon is a game first and foremost, and it was a regular part of a generation's childhood social life. 3D movies in VR came and went because they were too costly to make. They lacked reliability, and that meant they were not practical money makers for their industries. They've been revived because new technology has made it more practical to make content for 3D films in VR. And VR headsets are now easier to use. Being practical replaces the novelty of something. When the craze around a subject fades, but there's still a reason to keep using it, then it's not a fad. If it isn't practical, it's a fad. Another factor is buzz. Buzz starts sometime before the trendsetters. It's not exclusive to fads, it's a byproduct of popularity. So it applies to fads and long-term trends. Buzz amplifies both the novelty and the bandwagon ism. It can also create or even amplify backlash once the novelty dries up. Once upon a time, buzz could be created by being seen in a sitcom, a movie, on MTV when MTV was still cool. While there are ad companies trying to create buzz about their clients' products, it's really a naturally occurring thing. It's just people talking and sharing excitement about something. These days, that's done on social media, and it does have an effect on fads. Social media can't be the source of them though, because novelty is the primary ingredient of a fad. That's why people are talking about it in the first place. More importantly, it's why people are listening to people talk about something. It's exciting. And considering that most of the fads I listed at the beginning predate the internet, it just shows that crazes are going to happen anyway. The internet and social media just make them run their course faster. Well, I'm going to go figure out what industrial equipment or tool I'm going to use to destroy random household items for YouTube views. Thanks for watching, and good luck. To subscribe, click the channel icon on the top left. Top right is the previous video, and below that is a random suggestion from YouTube. Thanks again.